Hi, this is Steve, and today in the garage we're going to look at a 1969 Dodge Daytona, one of the coolest muscle cars ever made. And this car was bought by the person who owns it new. We're going to find out the whole story on this car today in the garage. This is Steve, and today in the garage we're looking at this 69 Daytona. And I met Jim here at the Cars and Coffee here in Napa, and I said, I love your car. Have you had it very long? And he said, yeah, you could say that. So how long have you had this car, Jim?
It's 52 years.
52 years, so...
1970. July of 1970.
So was it brand new when you bought it?
Yes, it was.
Wow.
I found it in San Francisco at a place called Van Ness Dodge. It's not there anymore, but just happened to drive by it one weekend and had actually been looking for one. I came home from Vietnam early in January of '70, and I started seeing Superbirds, and I didn't see any Daytonas, but I just fell in love with the style. I fell in love with the looks of the car, the story of the car, the reason they built them, and started looking for one.
Wow. And so did you specifically want a Daytona as opposed to the Superbird?
I did. I had a chance to buy a Superbird. It wasn't new, but it just wasn't the Daytona, and I just liked the lines of the Charger so much more than the '70 Roadrunner.
These cars were fairly expensive when they were new. You must have really wanted one of these cars.
Well, when this car was built in August of '69, and it sat for almost a year at the dealership down there in San Francisco, and it had a sticker price of about $4,500, somewhere in that neighborhood. But I ended up getting it for like $39.50. So they wanted it off the lot. They were done with it. It'd been in the lot there almost a year.
Yeah, I heard they're really special cars, and they have a unique look. And they're not for everybody, I imagine, when they were new. And I have heard that dealers sat on these things for a while, as well as the Superbirds.
They did.
But I guess they really wanted to build them. They had to build them for NASCAR, for homologation. So,
Right.
And this one is, they made less of these, right? They made, what, 503?
It is 503 Daytonas and 1,970 something Superbirds.
Yeah.
So NASCAR changed the rules in '69 when Dodge pulled the trigger and built these. The rules were 500 had to be sold to the public. Well, in '70, NASCAR said, that's enough of this stuff. We're going to make it, you have to have, as I understand it, you have to have 2 cars for each dealership. You have to build 2 cars, and that figure ended up being 1,900 and something. So, well, let's see, that's what, 4 birds for each Daytona, I guess. Yeah, for one Daytona.
Yeah, they're rare. I never see Daytonas. I mean, I see them occasionally, but just don't see them. And what's under the hood of this one here?
It's a 440, original 440. I've got 65,000 miles on it, and single 4-barrel, just the way it came.
So what was people's reaction when you drove around in this thing, and what did your friends and your family think when you rolled up in this thing?
Oh man, I caught some grief. I can't tell you the number of times that I'd be driving down the street and I'd hear, "Hey, Batman," and stuff like this, getting mocked and teased and stuff. People hated them or they loved them. There was no in between. And I didn't much care, though. When I found this one, and I just had to, whatever it took to get it, I needed to have this car.
I noticed it's got American racing rims on it. What did you put those on when the car was fairly new, or?
Yeah, the original steel wheels and a dog dish hubcap. Those didn't last a week, and I had some what were called ET mags. I don't think they even make them anymore, but maybe they do.
I remember those.
Yeah, I had a set of ET. They were cheaper than Americans, and I was flat ass broke after putting the money buying this thing. So anyway, I couldn't afford Americans till later on. But first thing was some ET mags.
Yeah, cool. And so did you use this car like when you first bought it? Did you drive it every day? Was this your transportation, or is it more of a weekend car? Or?
This was my commuter. I commuted. I worked for the phone company, a company called Western Electric. I was an installer of telephone equipment in the central office, telephone central office switching systems, and worked all over the Bay Area. Worked in San Francisco, Berkeley, Richmond, Eureka, and this was my transportation.
Well, I guess if you had to get there quick, this was the right machine for that, I guess.
Well, yeah, and I just, it turned some heads, when I out there commuting, and I even took this to the winter of '72, '73. The company got a contract with the government to build a big radar building in Concrete, North Dakota. And so I put a U-Haul trailer on the back of this, and the wife and the dog, and we headed for North Dakota for the winter.
Wow.
And so it was the only car I had, so I had to make it do. Yeah.
And how long did you use it as transportation? Did you retire it at some point, or get a different car or something?
Well, gas got really expensive in '74.
Yeah.
And the gas crunch and that, and I couldn't. I ended up buying a little Datsun 1200, I think they were called, or B210 or something like that, and so I did put it away because I couldn't afford it with the price of gas and everything. So that's when I took it off the road.
So that's pretty neat that you decided to make the decision. I'm keeping this car. I can't afford to drive it right now, but a lot of people said just sell it and get something else. But you said, no, I'm going to keep it.
I tell people that I kept it through, divorce, unemployment, wildfire, and that was like I said, when I saw the car and I had a chance to buy it, I begged, borrowed, and stole money. No, I didn't steal any money, but I did. As long as they kept sliding financing contracts in front of me, I kept signing those things. There was just never a thought of letting it go.
Oh, that's neat. And then, so you put it in storage or just put it away, and then when did you decide to recommission it and bring it out and start using it again?
Painted it in '89, and we put a paint job on it, and I've got some pictures of it in storage, which was my brother's backyard. But that was the divorce. I had to put it someplace, and so it ended up in his backyard, and kept it. I treated it okay. I had it covered. I had it, but then in '89 I said, this is nuts. I gotta get this thing put back together the way so I freshened everything up.
So it looks nice. I mean, you painted it, but what else did you have to do? Did you have to do any upholstery work or anything like that?
Yeah, I did. The seats are legendary auto interiors, but door panels, dash, that's all original. That hasn't been touched.
And do you show it much or drive it around in the last, I guess, it's been 30 years since you restored it?
Yeah, I've taken it, actually trailered it to Talladega, Alabama in 1999. That was the 30-year anniversary of the wing cars. They first raced in Talladega. And so in 1969 they raced. Then they were having a reunion, a wing car reunion, they call it. No, aero car reunion. So I got to trailer it back there. I didn't want to put that many miles on it.
So they probably had Superbirds there and Talladega Ford and with Cyclone.
Cyclone 2s, and they sure did. That's exactly the cars that they brought. Everybody brought their cars.
That's really neat. It's so cool to see this thing here. And What's it like to drive this thing? I mean, the nose is so incredibly long on this car. Did it take you a little getting used to that long nose, parking it?
Yeah, it was, there's 18 inches sticking out there that you can't see sitting in it. You know, you've got to remember that that nose is out there and stuff. So it never got crunched. Thank God. I never really ever got stupid with the car. You know, I didn't, you know, turn it, you know, sideways and stuff like that on the street or any of that, you know. Guilty of some street racing, yeah, that did happen, but I never,
Of course.
never ran it in a ditch or anything like that. So
And then you had a near miss with this car with a wildfire up here.
maybe it was October of 17, 5 years ago, just now, yeah. This is my new shop, or my new garage, and the building had caught fire, and my daughter and son-in-law were here, and the wife, and you know, flames were coming in that window, and my daughter started screaming, we have to push the Daytona out, you know, and I go, great idea, you know, so we got it out of here and stuff. I lost other cars in here, but.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so glad that it was saved, you know, because when you lose something like this, that's it, it's over. And for you, it's more than just losing, it's a rare car, nobody wants to see a car like this go away, but your personal attachment to it, it's an heirloom.
Yeah.
You know, and so is, you're a real Mopar guy, so you have other Mopars, right?
Yeah.
And I noticed when we'll take a quick look later, you've got another 69 Charger here you're restoring. But so it's you've always been a lifelong Mopar guy?
Yeah, my first car was a 57 Chrysler New Yorker, two-door hardtop. Yeah, drove that all through my Army days and everything, and you know, around the country, and yeah, and always had a thing for the Finn cars.
Yeah. Well,
Still do.
I think we all do. I mean, I mean, you can't look at this car and go, that's nice. You know, you look at it and go, that's awesome. It's just so cool.
Yeah.
You know, that big wing on the back is amazing. There's a lot of differences. And we could talk about the car itself for a minute. The differences between the standard Charger, and even the differences between the Superbird and the Daytona.
We can do that.
The one thing I noticed was, and I don't know if a lot of people pay attention to it, is that the fact that none of these Daytonas have vinyl tops, and all the Superbirds do. And that's because the roof line has obviously changed, more aerodynamic, shorter deck lid. But I guess it must have been a lot of work to fill all the seams. I've seen a Superbird with its vinyl top removed. You can see all the
Seams,
all
the new rear window, and all of the changes they went through and stuff. And they said, we can't spend that much time on body work. We'll put a vinyl top on these things and just speed up production. Again, they had to build 4 for every one of the Daytonas. They had to build 4 Superbirds. So that just jacked the production up, you know, time, or lowered the production time.
Yeah, probably increased the cost too. I'm assuming, I don't know, but they must have had to hand finish and hand lead seam all those seams around or film with something.
Yeah, they were lead. When I had it painted, they were leaded in. Yeah. There's that main seam where the roof and the C-pillar join. That's all been leaded in there.
Yeah, and the front end, obviously, with the elongated nose, and then you've got the extractors on the top of the fenders there. Is that brake cooling, essentially?
Well, there was, when they first came out, that's what they thought, that it was like for cooling or NASCAR tire clearances, that when these cars really leaned into the corner at 100 and 200, that you could scrub the wheels and they put those on there so that the wheels would clear. And I got to talk to one of the engineers at that reunion in 1999 back in Alabama, and he says that's to get air out of the wheel wells. Those scoops are backwards so that it creates a vacuum, and then it sucks all of the air pressure out of the wheel wells at speed, and it, you know, keeps the nose down.
I was always curious too on these, you know, the normal car, the non-Daytona has a grill and so forth. And these cars, do they get hot? I mean, how does that radiator get cooled? It looks like it's all sealed off. I see a small little grill in front there. And has this car get hot at all, or?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Napa Valley in the summertime is when I bought it in July. And, oh my God, this is you get stuck in traffic and you shut it off, because they were definitely not designed for the street. They were not a consumer-friendly car at all. No. So it came with a clutch fan for the radiator, and that apparently was a no-no. They're supposed to have fixed fans. You lose a little horsepower, and they're noisy, but they get more air going through the radiator to keep these things running. And let's see, what else did I do with this? Well, a few other tricks trying to get it to cool off and everything. The radiator, and this was probably in the 1990s. I got transferred down to Palm Springs, and we had to go down that area to finish some civil service careers we had. And there was no way that this thing could run in Palm Springs in the summertime at all. So ended up going with a 4-core radiator, and that really helped. So it's got the right tanks. The top tank and the bottom tank, I saved all that, but we did put a 4-core radiator in the middle of it, and that helped a lot.
Yeah, it's just one of the unique challenges of having such an unusual car. Like I say, they made 503 of them, so they never planned really probably for mass market appeal. No. They're just like, we got to get these cars built so we can go racing. And then hopefully we'll find 500 people to buy them. Yeah. And you're one of them.
Yeah,
thank you.
That's but that's the car was, like I said, was built in August of '69. Well, and I bought it in July of '70, but it sat there, and they wanted it sold, they wanted it gone. Of course, they want them all gone, but but the right guy, came, I happened to spot it.
So you already had a '69 Barracuda, so you already had a almost new car already.
It was I think it was well, I know it was a little Science 6 and stuff. I came home, I didn't have a car or anything from, having to come and getting out of the service, so I bought that car, and then I ended up selling it as soon as I bought this. I had to let it go. I couldn't do 2 car payments, but so.
It's a beauty, and then we got to take a look at what you got under construction right here.
Sure.
We'll check that out in a second. Jim, thanks so much for showing us this remarkable 1969 Dodge Daytona.
I appreciate you putting this together, and I think when I bring the car out and I take it to little shows and stuff like that, I keep getting thanks from people that I don't have it in a warehouse somewhere or in a collection somewhere, and I get it's fun. It's great to take this out and let people see it.
Yeah, well, we all appreciate it, and it is fun to see a car like this out in the wild instead of in a museum or behind ropes. And it's really a pleasure, and I just really enjoyed learning about your story and your journey with this car. And we're going to look at something else here in a minute, but for now, that's it for this episode of In the Garage, and we'll catch you next time in the garage. So Jim, if the Daytona wasn't enough, what do you got cooking in the kitchen here? What is this we're looking at?
This is a '69 Dodge Charger, but it is an original HEMI car, 426 HEMI 4-speed car. I think it's one of 207, I think, that were built. There's actually less of these than that. There were more Daytonas built than this car, but 4 speeds and HEMIs. I had an opportunity. A friend of a friend told me about this car, and I said, well, I'm looking for a project, and so I went ahead and dealt with the guy that was letting this all go. So he caught me at the right time, and like I said, a friend of a friend told me about it. So I went ahead and found this, or brought this home.
Okay, well, the next Cars and Coffee is coming up next weekend, so you got a lot of work to do by next weekend.
Let's see. I don't think that's going to happen.
We'll come back and visit again because this is too cool, and it's this beautiful color, B5 blue, the real famous Mopar color. And it's just going to be a 426 Hemi 4-speed car. Stay tuned, folks, because we're going to come back and check this out when it's further along, I promise. Catch you next time in the garage.